Hello, it's Dan, the real estate guy, coming to you from the home office once again, and today's topic is the condominiums, the condos. You know, a lot of investors will avoid the condo area. It's one of the reasons I do buy and sell some condos from time to time. I realize there's more challenges sometimes than a single family home, but I also from time to time get an excellent one that there are very few challenges and it's a good product and I can get a good price for it. So what do I look for in condos? Why would I take a chance on condos, and what should we look out for? You know, I'll tell you quite frankly right now in this area, probably the same in yours, is you really have to watch the HOA, the homeowner's dues there. You have to look at that dues and realize, is it high, is it low? Are they doing a good job? You know, I remember one that I purchased really, really low. I sent my driver by it to check out the grounds. Are they taking the dues seem low? Are they doing a good job for that? And you'll be amazed how many times the dues is low and yet they're doing a fantastic job. It just means that the board or the folks that really take care of those things are really watching out for the owners. And you'll also hear times, you know, in books and other programs will tell you if you're ever going to own a condo, you know, long term, even as a rental, that you need to go to those meetings. I've been to some of them. They usually have monthly meetings. Find out what they're doing, find out what they're up to, find out what they're planning, what their budget is, things like that, okay? If you're going to live in a condo development, maybe you're going to get one for yourself, it's nice to go to those meetings, find out what's going on. In some cases, it might be good to try to get on that board. You know, if you're going to live there and you care about the place and you want to make sure everything's right, and you're the type of person that can have good follow through and make these meetings and make sure things get done right, you're a good communicator, then yeah, you probably want to get on that board. All right? As I buy and sell these, I'm looking at you know, value. You might remember the Muldrow video. If you've seen that one, go check it out. That was just a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo that I was able to buy for about $59,000 and sell for $89,000. Actually, I sold it for over $89,000. I asked $89,900 and they offered a little bit higher with the credit back, which is common, which is really common. So on the condos, the first thing you're going to be concerned with is the homeowner's dues. If you're running comps and you have MLS, or if you're working with a realtor with MLS, one of the ways to check out what the dues is actually being paid there is you can find your comparables and they'll list the homeowners association, the dues being paid. You might see a few reported a little bit differently, high and low, but just it'll give you a really good idea of what the current dues is for that property. Now, going back to the condos and why some folks skip them, I can understand skipping what I call the less significant condos. You know, it's rare for me to do a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, for example. Can't remember the last time I did one. Maybe I've never done one. I like to see at least 2 bedrooms. I would prefer 3. But I need to see what I like to call a significant condo. It has good square footage. You know, those 1-bedroom, 1-bath sometimes come up with, you know, 600 to 750 square feet. Can't go with those. I know there's probably a market for that, and if I thought I could get it low enough, I might look at that market and say, are people buying those? Everything has value, and what you're trying to do is buy it for less than its current market value if you plan to sell it. Then you need to look and see, is the profit that you're projecting to make, is it acceptable? Does that work for you? But remember, we like to have what we call multiple ways to succeed. And a reason for avoiding the less significant condos, the 1-bedroom, 1-bath, is maybe they're tough to rent. You know, you need to make sure that if you got stuck with it, you could rent it out, and when you pay your dues and you get the fair market rent, you still can have a good cash flow. So that's why I kind of avoid those sometimes. I don't think it's quite as possible as it is with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath or bigger. Now, what makes a condo for me even more significant? I like it if they have a garage. They don't all have garages in our area. So if you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage, even if it's 1 car usually, but if it had a 2-car, that's even better. We have condos in our areas that are more like what we would call townhomes rather than a condo, where it's a significant development with a high grade of construction where each building might only have 2 units. They almost look like 2 houses hooked together. I did one of those about a year ago, maybe it was a little bit more, where I was able to pay $148,000 for it and sell it. I believe I sold it for $210,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. It was a gated community. It was, I knew I had done a deal in there before. I knew the product better than the other folks that showed up. That was an auction, and nobody bid on it. They let it go. They didn't understand it. They thought it was a regular old condo. It was more of a townhome, or what I call a significant condo. It had a 2-car garage. It had 1 story instead of 2, you know, that when you have 2-story, you probably take away a few buyers that wouldn't buy a 2-story. It was an end unit, so there was no neighbor. I had done my homework, and I predicted that I would be the only bidder, and I was correct. Paying around $148,000, selling it for $210,000, and I believe that particular one, I knew the development well enough to where I knew that some of the buyers that buy in here pay cash. And I had listed that with a realtor friend of mine, and I told him, this is the kind of area where you could get an all-cash offer. And son of a gun, first weekend on the market, I believe it was the first weekend, it certainly was within the first week, cash offer. Boom, just like that. See, it's the experience. Remember I mentioned before, you can't teach experience, but you can pick up a lot of these little things. This is the little stuff that makes a difference, right? You're getting the nuts and bolts, and then you're getting the experience through me. By experiencing lots of our transactions and watching lots of videos, you're going to pick up on these little things that I use to make a good profit. You know, something that's not available to the rookie. They didn't understand that. I knew and I predicted that folks were going to pass on that condo. And they did. And I picked it up and I was able to sell it. It didn't even need a lot of work. It was vacant, which makes it even better. It was in a gated community, and I had to, you know, play a few games to get in there, but I got in there and saw it. And I see that it was a good one. So I like the significant condos. I like the 2-bedroom or better. I really prefer 3. I really like it when there's multiple bathrooms as well, and solid construction. Dues is not out of control. I have one right now where the dues is really high, and I knew that going in. It's a little bit risky. Because remember, dues takes away from your buyer's ability to qualify for the loan a bit. You know, the dues on that one's $320 a month. Grounds don't look any better than ones that I have that the dues is $175, right? So they're struggling in there. And they'll adjust that over time. You know, they might be doing a lot of repairs right now. But there'll be times where they move that dues around, but that's really high. So if a guy's going to a lender as a buyer, and he was qualified for 150 grand, and they see the dues is 320, maybe it knocks them down a little bit. Whatever that 320 could have paid on a loan, you know, how much debt it could have serviced, is kind of gone from that guy. So as a result, those condos, even though they're nicer and they're bigger square footage than a lot of them that are selling higher than those, these are selling low. These are selling pretty low. So you got to watch out for that. But watch for those significant condos where you have a good chance to buy and sell and make a profit. As far as buying and holding condos, I don't do it very often because of that dues. It's hard to get my market rent and then paying the dues and all the other stuff. Not much left sometimes. All right, so I got to really watch that. Location now, not just the location of the development. That's important. But I even like to look at the location of the unit within the development. I have one right now that's an end unit, meaning no neighbor on one side. Some people are attracted to that. Not only is it one unit with no neighbor on one side, it's not anywhere near the streets that the property is around. In other words, you could buy some that back to a busy street, right? This one's in the middle of the development. It's buffered, right? It doesn't have any busyness around it. And it happens to be near the pool. Now, some people will consider that a plus, and some may consider it a minus. You know, maybe a elderly couple having the pool close by. Maybe they don't want to hear all the kids splashing around and all that good stuff, right? Other folks that have kids might want that. I had one last year that had, not only was it right next to the pool, but there was a balcony off the master suite where really the parents could sit there and see the kids, make sure they're safe, and they could actually supervise them a little bit from a distance there. You know, if they have kids old enough where that works, then that was good for them. I was concerned when I bought it that when you walk up to the front door is here, wrought iron gate, or a fence I should say, and landscaping, and the pool's maybe 10 feet away. I knew it could get noisy. I took that chance. It worked out for me. Sold. right? So you're always gathering information and making decisions, and I wouldn't skip the condos. But here's the last thing that I want to go over on the condos right now. It seems like, and you can check in your area, but it seems like there's litigation going on all the time at these things. Now, some litigation has nothing to do with the real unit, you know. You want to find out what the litigation is about. It seems like it's always about HOA and whether they're running it right, or whether they're doing the right repairs, or you know, whether it was done correctly from the beginning. Some of these are condo conversions, which brings up another point. I would prefer condos that were built as condos versus condo conversions. Condo conversions are just large apartment complexes where, when the market was hot, they were able to convert it from a condo, or excuse me, from an apartment to condos, meaning now each unit can have its own ownership, right? So watch out for those. I don't consider those as valuable as a condo that was built as a condo, all right? Most of the time, if it's a condo conversion, it doesn't have a garage, for example. It just has those long carports where everybody parks under the covered parking. Very common in our area. Check your area, see what's going on there. But I bought and sold one, for example, that was in a great location. It was a Fair Oaks location. There was some litigation going on in there, and it may or may not have slowed down a buyer from getting a loan. In other words, if a guy's using an FHA loan, they're going to want to know if there's any litigation, and they're going to decide if that affects the loan, the ability to get a loan on that property, or not. I had one recently where the litigation was about something to do with some construction on the other side of the development, nowhere near my property, right? And it turned out they looked at it and they decided that didn't have anything to do with it, with my unit, and it was going to be okay. Other times the litigation is, you know, how the property's run, or the HOA, all that stuff. Well, I did this one in Fair Oaks that I ended up getting a cash offer, right? Cash offer. I get to avoid all those issues. Right? I mean, the buyer, it's still disclosed to the buyer that there's litigation, and they can do their own homework and decide if that affects their decision to buy or not buy. But the unit itself was nice. Nothing wrong with the unit. Can live there, no problem. So I let them do their homework. They made a cash offer, about $10,000 lower than retail. It worked for me. I think I paid around $64,000 or $66,000 for that one. The cash offer was $100 grand. I think I was listed at 1099 by then, and agent called me up and said, "Would you take cash at about $100,000?" I said, "Yeah, sure, as long as you close fast." Right? That's what's good about cash. They make their cash offer. They're not waiting around for an appraiser. They're not waiting around for loan approval. They're not waiting around for all that stuff. All they're waiting around for is the title company to do their thing, and they can do it pretty quick. Right? I appreciate cash buyers when they, you know, give them a little break. If it still works for me and it works for them, it's a win-win, then that's what we're going to do. So get out there and get familiar with your condominium market in your area. See if there's opportunities there that perhaps other investors are passing on. You know, that's one of the reasons I'm doing quite a few of them right now. And I don't blame them for passing, right? But I look at it as, well, you know, I think I can make that work. I'll take the extra risk. I'll take a little extra effort if it needs it, and we'll make it work. It all equals out over time. I like to have a wide game. I'm looking at my board over there. There's duplexes on there. There's a fourplex. There's some condos, and there's some single-family homes. So I have a mix here. When you're starting out, you might be better off specializing. So check the condominium market. See if it's something you want to work. See you on the next video. Thank you.